Initial D, a street racing anime based in the late 90s in Japan that will turn anybody who is willing to give it a try into a JDM car enthusiast without a doubt. But while the racing, drifting, and cars are all very exciting, the true driving force behind the success of Initial D is the amazing storytelling. Today we are going to be diving into the intense buildup and battle of the first race in the series, which the context was so beautifully crafted that it sets up the entire rest of the franchise and additionally helps you understand the psychology between many characters of the main cast. Anyways, right here we are catching a glimpse of a Toyota Corolla, Hachiroku A86, Toyota Trueno, whatever you want to call it, ripping it down a steep mountain road. Now this driver is clearly experienced with this road and this car as he's masterfully dancing through the corners. Suddenly we see a street racer's worst nightmare, some regular traffic coming up the road. Obviously the NPC driver is a bit shocked, but actually recognizes the Toyota Corolla.
That guy never changes.
Suggesting that this may be some sort of local legend in the area. Now cutting to the next day, we actually get to meet our main character, Takumi. He's just chilling out, posted up, enjoying the view, while his homie, we all got that one homie who could talk about cars nonstop. He's just yapping his ear off, talking about the car that he's probably never gonna buy, but he might be able to buy. Takumi's just being a nice guy, trying to be a good friend to his guy Itsuki. It becomes painfully obvious that Takumi could give less of a shit about which car Itsuki is trying to buy. Now, while Takumi may seem really nonchalant and the type of guy that doesn't care about anything, somebody enters the frame that clearly piques his interest, and that is Natsuki. After recovering from the initial shock of being surprised by Natsuki, they start catching up, talk about their low pay at their summer job at the gas station. They chop it up a little bit more and Natsuki makes it clear that she wants to rekindle their friendship and hang out. My boy Itsuki gets the wrong idea and thinks Natsuki actually has a crush on him. He's clearly living in a delusion right here, but anyways, Natsuki dips out and we find ourselves hanging out, posted up at the gas station. Itsuki is still yapping Takumi's ear off about cars. We actually get to meet a new character, and that is Ikutani. He lets Takumi and Itsuki know that he and his team are going up to the local mountain tonight, Mount Akina, to do some spirited driving and improve their racecraft, and he invites them for a ride along in his legendary S13. Only Itsuki was hyped. Takumi didn't really care, but Itsuki is dragging his boy along for the ride. Before they head out for the night, the gas station boss, who we saw as the NPC regular traffic driver earlier on, overhears Ikutani flexing his skills on Mount Akina, and he checks him, telling him that there is an undisputed fastest driver on the mountain. The boss lets him know that he's an old timer that owns a tofu shop and to keep an eye out for him. Because delivering tofu to the hotels around Lake Akina is his business, he is going up and down that mountain every single night, and that the speed stars don't stand a chance against this guy. The Tofu Shop 86, an old clunker, is the fastest car on the downhill, and he totally checks Ikutani's ego, which is honestly really deserved because we see that the speed stars are heading up to Mount Akina and their driving skills are pretty terrible. Takumi's scared for his life. These guys have terrible initiations, terrible exits, and the car just does not look stable. Honestly, I would be shitting my pants too if I were Takumi in this situation. But Ikutani, he thinks he's ripping. He's got the street racer's pride and he's ripping it up the mountain. Unfortunately for Ikutani though, he's about to get his ego crushed for the second time tonight. Boss man notices a team rolling up to Mount Akina, and since they're heading up at the late hours of the night, a battle must be brewing. It turns out that these guys are actually a famous racing team known as the Red Suns from Akagi. Ikutani is shaking in his boots because he knows that these guys are the fastest drivers in Akagi. What are they doing here in Akina? And this is where we find out that the two Rotary brothers, Ryosuke Takahashi and Keisuke Takahashi, are actually traveling around Japan searching for the fastest drivers on each mountain pass looking to battle them that they can claim to be the fastest in the Kanto region of Japan. Iketani's prideful ass says they have found the fastest team on Mount Akina, the Akina Speed Stars. Since the Red Suns have now found the fastest team on the mountain pass, they propose to do a couple practice runs, a couple fun battles, just taking it easy to get a feel for the mountain, build team solidarity, and they will do a real battle on next Saturday for the records and to set an official score. The Speed Stars agree, and now we get to see how they stack up against the Red Suns in their practice runs. Iketani is about to roll out onto his hot lap, but he tells Itsuki and Takumi that they can't come because he doesn't bring passengers on serious runs. Thus, the boys are stuck reflecting on what just happened. Takumi doesn't really appreciate the driving still and doesn't really understand the intensity, the pride, and the hype behind the street racers. He thinks it's all a little unnecessary and doesn't get it. It just pisses Itsuki off because he doesn't understand how someone couldn't get excited about driving cars. And Takumi is just dumbfounded by the idea. We then find ourselves outside of an old rugged tofu shop and get to see this man we soon find out is actually Takumi's dad, Bunta Fujiwara, owner of the tofu shop and the legendary 8-6 that runs up and down Mount Akina. He's catching up with the boss man from the gas station, and he reveals that Takumi has actually been the one doing the deliveries for the past 5 years. The boss man is absolutely shocked. This is because he has recently seen the tofu shop 8-6 ripping it down the mountain pass at unprecedented speeds, reminiscent of his father. This is the first hint that we get that Takumi may actually be a very skilled driver. Unlike the Akina Speed Stars, who at this exact moment were actually just getting their butts kicked by the Red Suns. Like, it's not even funny. These guys are unmatched in both skill, machinery, and are getting left in the dust even on their home course. It is the most embarrassing thing that could happen to a street racer, and their prides are getting destroyed. It's so bad to the point that the top drivers of the Red Suns, the two Rotary brothers, are not even doing runs at this time. They're simply observing and are noting that the Akina Speed Stars are so beneath them in skill that Ryosuke himself, the brother in the white FC, is not even going to participate in the race, and that they should leave their top drivers at home to allow them to rest. Keisuke, thinking that this is so beneath him as well, also does not want to participate. His big brother disagrees. He wants Keisuke to set an unbeatable record on Akina's downhill that will stand for years to come, and the locals will never be able to top. By doing so, we'll cement the Akagi Red Suns as a legendary team.
Getting late, guys. Let's go ahead and bail. We'll get together tomorrow and figure this mess out.
Akina Speed Stars are extremely disheartened, rightfully so, after taking a whooping on what was supposed to be a fun night for them, and they decide to call it a night and go home. The Red Suns, however, were still posted up on Akina, grinding out laps until the sun was almost out again. Keisuke and the guys decide to call it a night and do one last run on the downhill before heading back home. Keisuke is leaving the rest of the Red Suns in the dust. This shows that he is leagues above the rest of the team, but the car he sees in his rearview mirror is not one of his teammates. It is actually the Tofu 8-6, which we can now assume is Takumi Fujiwara, who is heading home after one of his late night deliveries. And we know that the Tofu Shop 8-6 knows the road well, but we actually haven't seen him battle anyone yet, especially a formidable opponent like Keisuke Takahashi of the Red Suns. Keisuke is offended that there's an 8-6 in his rearview mirror. He will not lose to a cheap economy car like an 8-6, especially when in a perfectly tuned RX-7 FD. He starts laying down the power at unprecedented speeds down the downhill, but the 8-6 is stuck to him like glue, even in a tandem drift with him. Keisuke is definitely feeling the pressure now and is trying to solve all of his problems with more power, which is good in the straights, but once you get down to the corners, you're in for some trouble. And he definitely was in some major trouble because the 8-6 was only growing larger in his rearview mirrors. At this point, Keisuke was under immense pressure. He was starting to think that he was in a nightmare, having a bad dream. And just when we thought things couldn't get worse for him, they did. Under braking, the 8-6 goes diving into the corner, with no regard that the next corner is a sharp hairpin and that there is a deep ravine below. The Tofu Shop 8-6 hits one of the nastiest drifts, the inertia drift, which shows perfect control over the shifting weight of the Toyota Corolla. Keisuke is so shocked to see this kind of move pulled on him and loses his focus so much so that he actually ends up misbraking for the corner and spins out in the same hairpin while the Tofu Shop 86 heads on home. Keisuke is so defeated by this incident because nothing is worse than losing to a car that is much weaker than yours. His pride was so damaged that he was rationalizing that he saw the ghost of a driver that used to race this past. But after some thought and his teammates arrive, he comes back to reality and admits that he was defeated by an 8-6. He vows to find the driver of that 8-6 and battle them to settle the score. But for now, Keisuke has just suffered his first defeat. So while the Red Suns and Keisuke are now actively looking for the Tofu Shop 86, Ikutani has coincidentally stumbled across it while being in town. And he actually finds Takumi there too. Ikutani is then interrogating him about why he has that 8-6, but still hasn't really put it together that the Tofu Shop 86 legend that the boss man from work told him about is actually Takumi's dad. He thinks he's crazy for believing these kinds of urban myths. Since Ikutani was already at Takumi's place, he offered to give him a ride to the gas station where coincidentally, Keisuke Takahashi pulls up in his RX-7 FD asking for some high-octane gasoline. He recognizes Ikutani's S13 and he's still got the 8-6 from the night before on his mind. He sarcastically asks Ikutani if he knows about the ghost of a racer who died on Mount Akina. Ikutani doesn't find the joke very funny and Takumi is just staring at the huge wing on the RX-7 wondering if it's for flight or for driving, truly showing that Takumi really doesn't know much about cars besides how to drive the tofu machine. Since Ikutani isn't giving Keisuke any information about the 8-6, he changes up his attitude because at this point he's pretty desperate to get any information from the locals to figure out who or what is driving that Toyota Corolla down the mountain pass. Ikutani still isn't buying it. He thinks that this is a big folktale that doesn't really mean anything, and he thinks that Keisuke is just messing with him. But unexpectedly, Keisuke admits that the night before, he was just defeated by the Toyota Corolla on the mountain pass. The Tofu Shop 86 is not a myth, it is real. He starts connecting the dots and starting to understand that Takumi's dad is the legendary 86 driver down Mount Akina. Wow. So we transition from that very intense moment where Ikutani is having the craziest revelation that is completely changing his whole life to Takumi and Natsuki on the top of their high school roof discussing their plans to go to the beach this Sunday. Takumi agrees to go and he says he'll drive, and Natsuki is taking his word as a verbal contract, so she is holding him to it. This may not sound important right now, but trust me, it is. And we're back to street racing. This time, we are racing the clock with Ikutani as he is putting reps in on Mount Akina's downhill, trying to find any time to improve. He knows that it's going to be an almost impossible battle against Keisuke, so he's pushing his limits way too far, getting millimeters away from the guardrail without being fully in control of the car. And unfortunately, he is still not improving in time, so this is not looking good for him at all. His pride as a street racer is definitely going to be crushed on Saturday by Keisuke and the Red Suns. So he does the only sensible thing that he can think of. He goes and finds the cure to his sadness, and that is some fresh tofu.
Hello? Anybody here?
So we all know that Ikutani really isn't at the tofu shop for some fresh tofu. In reality, he wants to meet the man who knows Mount Akina like the back of his hand, Takumi's dad, Bunta Fujiwara. However, he gets real nervous and he ends up just ordering some tofu to pretend like he's there for tofu. Kind of makes sense. I would do the same, honestly. He finally gets the courage to explain the situation he is in against the Red Suns and is begging Bunta to teach him how to drive Mount Akina like he does. Bunta doesn't sugarcoat the reality of the situation. He tells Ikutani that he simply cannot teach him all the secrets of Mount Akina in a single week. It takes thousands of hours of seed time in order to fully understand and drive the mountain, which any respectable racer knows is true. Seed time truly is king. However, Ikutani's pride is getting in the way, and he tells Bunta that he will be back. Ikutani is as determined as ever though. He is not deterred by Bunta's words of discouragement. He is back on Mount Akina, doing some runs, getting his reps in, prepare for the battle against the Red Suns. He's right on the limit, and in a very fast corner, the worst thing that could happen to a street racer occurs. An NPC, regular traffic driver, forces him to go wide, and he understeers into the guardrail. Yeah, so this wasn't just a cliffhanger. He actually understeered and went straight on into a guardrail, and his S13 is going to be in the shop for a long time. Definitely not going to be racing on Saturday, but you would think that would probably be the least of his concerns, considering that he almost didn't walk away from this crash, if we're being honest. Just look at the state of this guy. Unbelievably so, he hops on his scooter and heads straight over to the tofu shop. My goodness. Iketani's street racer's pride is off the chart. Strategy with Bunta has completely changed. At this point, he knows that he cannot race, and he is begging Mr. Fujiwara here to take his spot and to battle Keisuke Takahashi on the downhill to protect all the street racers in the area and to represent the Akina Speed Stars. Bunta understands the situation and empathizes with Iketani, but unfortunately, an old-timer should not be sticking his nose into the business of a bunch of kids street racing, and he declines his invitation to race. Iketani's last-ditch effort is to tell him that he's already defeated Keisuke on the downhill before, and he's asking him to do it one more time. This obviously doesn't work because Bunta never actually defeated Keisuke. That was Takumi, but Iketani definitely left an impression on him because when Bunta pulled up to the gas station to talk with the boss man Yuichi, he brings up the topic of Iketani showing up to the tofu shop all beat up from his crash. Bunta reiterates that he isn't interested in sticking his nose into any kiddie fights on the mountain, but Boss Man recommends that he sends another kid to do his business for him, and he pretty much proposed sending Takumi in his place since he has been doing the tofu delivery runs on Akina for so long now. Bunta is now trying to devise a way to motivate Takumi to go and race on the mountain on Saturday, but isn't quite sure how he's going to do it, and is debating whether he should go himself if Takumi doesn't want to go. However, after Takumi comes back from school, he catches Bunta watching TV. He remembers that he needs to borrow the car on Sunday to go to the beach with Natsuki. He's like, "Yo, Pops, can I borrow the Hachiroku on Sunday?" And he's like, "Nah, fam, I got places to go, man. Sorry, dude, you can't use the car." Takumi's like, "No way, this is like the one time I really do need the car, man. Come on. Like, this is really bad timing, very inconvenient." And Bunta realizes, "Alright, let's make a little deal here. If you want the car so bad, I'll give you a challenge, and if you could do it, I'll give you the car and a full tank of gas on Sunday." Bunta proposes the challenge and drops one of the hardest lines in the whole entire anime.
"Go to Akina this Saturday, find some punk in an FD people say is the fastest on Akagi, and beat the fire out of him."
Personally, if someone said that line to me, I would feel obligated to do it for free. But Takumi here says he's going to need a couple minutes to think about it and make up his mind. Meanwhile, at the Takahashi residence, the two Rotary brothers are plotting, thinking about the battle this upcoming Saturday. They're also just talking about general racing theory, how to improve as a driver, and talking about the super fast Ghost 86 on Mount Akina. Keisuke is convinced that it has a monster engine underneath the hood of that thing, and Ryosuke is just looking forward to the battle. Now we're back at the tofu shop again, and no surprise, Iketani is back to harass Bunta, begging him to race. To no surprise, Bunta says that he might race. This shocks Iketani, and he is feeling so happy that he could literally almost break his neck. To clarifies that it is just a maybe 50-50 chance that he'll show up. Iketani's convinced that Bunta's already made up his mind, but little does he know that it's not going to be him showing up, it's going to be Takumi. But Bunta isn't all about that jibber jabber. He doesn't feel like explaining all this. He just says if the 8-6 isn't there at the start line at 10 p.m. to not count on him showing up, because that means he ain't coming. But Iketani's over here like, "I could tell a street racer's made up his mind. You're gonna show up 100%, bro. I love you. Speed Stars will support you all the way." Bunta's just like, "Get out of my shop, bro." After all this buildup, we are finally here, the night of the race. we could see that the mountain is going to be really active tonight. The Red Suns have invited literally everybody in Japan that is interested in cars to watch what's going to go down on the mountain tonight. So the Akina Speedstars are posted up. No faith in the 8.6. They're not even sure if he's going to show up. They're talking about how they wouldn't show up if they were the 8.6 driver because there's so many people there that are going to watch you get cooked by that 350 horsepower RX-7 FD. And that even on the downhill, the 8.6 doesn't stand a chance just because of the massive power gap. But we know that Takumi's already beaten this guy before, but it's just a matter of if he's gonna show up. So the Red Suns are there. They start breaking down the rules, the protocols, pretty much a driver safety meeting before the race begins, and are talking about how they're gonna have a radio guy at the start and the finish line to have communications of the whole course, and are gonna have marshals, they're gonna have somebody posted up at the blind corners and gonna signal the cars with lights if a NPC driver appears. The Speed Stars are like, dang, we might be cooked. These guys are pretty much professional street racers. And the spokesperson for the Red Suns is like, nah, don't worry, just have fun. We're gonna go do some practice runs while the road's open, and we have the marshals keeping an eye out. Let's enjoy it, diffusing the tension a little bit. While Keisuke is still out here malding about that 8.6, he's like, that 8.6 better show up. I'm gonna get my revenge tonight, settle the score. Takumi is just chilling at home about 10 minutes till 10 and is like, yo, Dad, I don't think I'm gonna pull up to Mount Akina tonight. I'm not really feeling it. Bunta's like, why not, dude? You think you're gonna lose? Just go drive like you normally do and you'll win. Just come on, man. Giving him that little extra push of encouragement, I guess. We then cut to Keisuke doing some hot laps, practicing, getting the racing line dialed in. We just see how fast that RX-7 FD, it's literally shooting flames. He's drifting perfectly through the corner. Compare this when we saw the Speed Stars drifting. It's like, man, these guys are smooth operators without a doubt. Even Ryosuke is having a bit of fun on the mountain, and they're even doing tandem drifts, putting a whole show on for the entire gallery. But more importantly, we see the Tofu Shop 8.6 firing up, and Takumi is behind the wheel. He's like, hey Dad, do you want me to bring the water cup? Usually Bunta gives him a cup of water to drive with in order to make sure he's not spilling it. This ensures that Takumi is driving with good balance on the car, but Bunta says you don't need that. You're going to race, drive it as hard as you want. And Takumi says, hey, don't forget my gas when I come back and win, okay? And he's off to Mount Akina to battle the RX-7 FD. More importantly, acquire that free tank of gas so he could go on his date with Natsuki. While the Speed Stars are posted up saying it's getting close to 10 and that where is that damn 8.6? But suddenly, they see a light. A car's coming? No, a scooter. Who is it? What is it? Everyone's kind of pissed off. It's freaking Itsuki. Oh, my guy Itsuki. He's cool. The homie pulled up. Glad he can make it, but damn, just not who we want to see right now is pretty much the vibe. Kitani, who really believed Bunta was going to show up in the 8.6, is telling Kenji, hey, you might want to get ready just in case he doesn't show up. It's almost 10 o'clock and we're gonna have to start lining up on the start line soon, so get ready just in case, but it's not looking good. Kenji is shaking in his boots. He's like, dang, I'm really gonna have to race this animal and I'm gonna get owned. He knows it. It's just a matter of going through the motions. He's looking really sorry here. It's honestly kind of admirable that he even lined up to race this guy knowing he's going to certainly get defeated, and not just defeated, but totally obliterated in front of potentially thousands of spectators. Kitani wishes him good luck, and the race coordinator is about to count him off on the line when the radio message comes through that a NPC driver is going up the mountain and that they should delay the start until he clears the course. Keisuke is like, it's a public road, obviously there's going to be people driving it, let's just get this show on the road. But suddenly Ikutani cries out, asking what the make of that car is. The radio responds back saying that it's a Toyota Corolla, an 8.6. This is the biggest vibe check that could have happened. Everyone's expressions completely change. Keisuke becomes a lot more serious, and he's ready. He knows that the 8.6 is here, and he is ready to get his revenge. The only guy that's not looking really serious right now is Kenji. He is just relieved that he is not going to get his butt kicked on the mountain by a Keisuke, and he's low-key celebrating in his mind right now. Ikutani is relieved that Bunta's here to bail him out and to put up a respectable fight against Keisuke. The 8.6 does a 2-point turnaround. I kind of wish he just hit the guardrail there and stalled out just for like comedic relief, but no, this is a serious situation. The owner of the Fujiwara tofu shop, Bunta Fujiwara, is here. Oh no, that's Takumi. Ikutani's like, bro, did you leave your dad at home, bro? Why are you here without him? Takumi's just like taking in this whole scene, kind of confused by it, like how there's so many people on the mountain at 10 o'clock at night. Keisuke, ironically, is the only one that knows that this is his opponent. Everyone else that is supposed to be on Takumi's side or Bunta's side, they're questioning why the hell is Takumi here. Ikutani's like, dude, thanks for bringing the 8-6, but without your dad here, we're absolutely cooked. It's pointless. They ask him, did your dad give you any advice before pulling up or any instructions? He tells them straight that there's a full tank of gas riding on this and that my dad told me to come out here and beat some punk in an RX-7 FD who claims to be the fastest on Akagi. Simple instructions, very straightforward plot here. Takumi then confirms that he's actually already beat Keisuke on the downhill once before. The gang is still in disbelief. Mitsuki thinks he's straight up lying. Ikutani asks him one more question. When you're out on deliveries, have you been doing the driving up and down Mount Akina in the early mornings? He said, yeah, I'm the only one who does the deliveries and I've been doing it for 5 years. This convinces Ikutani. He starts connecting the dots. He sees Bunta's vision and he allows him to be the front runner on the downhill to battle Keisuke. The crew still has their doubts, but at this point, Kenji doesn't want to race, Ikutani's injured, Itsuki doesn't even have a car, so Takumi's their best shot, and you gotta trust Bunta, he's never wrong, right? The race director gives the instructions that they are gonna start for real this time, and he begins the countdown from 10. The tension rises, the engines are revving. Everyone is wondering if Takumi can really beat this guy, and if everything that Bunta and Takumi have said is true, and they're off. The RX-7 FD is way faster off the line. Even in the first couple seconds, he's already leaving the 8.6 in his rearview mirror. Takumi doesn't look worried though, as he's calmly shifting through the gears. But yeah, the horsepower difference is very obvious, and it is not looking good for your boy Takumi if you aren't familiar with Mount Akina. But as we know, Takumi has been delivering up and down this mountain for many years. Ryosuke is already noticing that the 8.6 isn't a monster like everyone is claiming it to be. It's 150 horsepower at most. It was only smooth coming off the line because it has an upgraded transmission. Transmission built for rally racing, which is perfect for the narrow mountain roads. The first corner is quickly approaching and Takumi finally puts both hands on the wheel, locking in for a perfect first corner. Downshifts cleanly, throws the weight, and gets very close to the guardrail. Without any fine tuning, no practice runs, he's already running right on the limit. Perfectly applies the throttle on the corner exit, revving right up to 8,000 RPMs. Even though he's pushing the car to the limit, Keisuke and his RX-7 FD are a ways ahead currently. 350 horsepower FD is extremely fast in the straights, which the beginning part of Akina is. However, as the more corners appear, the 8.6 slowly starts to creep up in his rearview mirror, applying tons of pressure. We see he starts to break a sweat. It's probably only been a couple minutes into the run, and Keisuke is already feeling the intense pressure that the 8.6 is applying on him. This kind of pressure can definitely force you to do some erratic things behind the wheel. We see that Keisuke begins pushing the car and tires further beyond the limit. He's definitely abusing those tires, and that may prove to be costly. We see Takumi cool and collected. He's just driving like he's delivering tofu. Keisuke, on the other hand, is battling for his life. His erratic and aggressive driving is only costing him, as we see that Takumi is actually way closer than ever before. Keisuke at this point is praying for a straightaway. The more straightaway, the better his advantage. Meanwhile, the guys hear from the radio updates that Takumi is right on Keisuke's tail. This is a major W in itself because no one thought he'd be able to keep up with, because Takumi doesn't know squat about racing or cars. He didn't even know he owned an 8.6 a few days ago. This guy was driving an 8.6 every day and he didn't know it. He also never mentioned to his friends at the gas station that his dad was a legendary street racer. Everyone here is kind of just having crazy realizations about Takumi, really questioning whether they even really knew the guy. But Ikutani's looking all smug. He's kind of excited that the Akina Speedstars Takumi, are putting up a good fight against Keisuke, because that is truly what a street racer's pride is all about. Keisuke is still maintaining a nice lead, but Takumi is right in his rearview mirror, not letting him get too far away. The good news for Takumi is that the Akina downhill is extremely steep, which helps Takumi make up that massive horsepower difference. Keisuke is definitely noticing this because he is dumbfounded by the fact that the 8.6, the junky old 8.6, is able to keep up with him. Keisuke still has the advantage in the straights where the incline isn't that steep. As we could see, he almost always pulls away till the next corner arrives. Overtaking and getting a pass done may prove difficult, but Takumi still looks unfazed and unworried about winning this battle, which is quite surprising because any racer knows that you can match somebody's pace, you could stay right on their bumper, but getting around them is a whole different problem. Takumi is looking poised to make a move. Even on the straightaways, he's managing to keep up. The observers note that Takumi is right on Keisuke's bumper and that no one has ever been this close to him this late into a race. The Speedstar boys overhear this and they start looking straight stupid. They're getting excited. They're getting hyped that the impossible might actually become a reality. On the other side, Ryosuke of the Red Suns is saying that they may have underestimated the Speedstars. They didn't think they would have a racer this skilled in their pocket, because it's definitely not that damn 8.6, because he is using all 150 horsepowers and he is barely maxing out that tachometer, but he is catching up and it looks like he's getting serious. He's dialing in the car, executing a perfect four-wheel drift, getting as close to Keisuke as possible and still having a perfect exit out of the corner. It's crazy. Even on the shortest straightaway, Keisuke pulls away, but in the corners he reels them right back in. The corner workers are like, dang bro, that 8.6 is moving. Luckily for Keisuke though, we have one of the longest straight line stretches here for him to make up a bit of a gap, but this gives Takumi a moment of reflection. My dad isn't going to give me that free tank of gas unless I pass this guy. So he starts plotting his secret move. He's plotting his overtake for the 5 consecutive hairpins, the legendary 5 consecutive hairpins of Mount Akina. What is that secret move gonna be? How will he get the overtake done? Find out next time. Just kidding, we're already here. Not at the 5 consecutive hairpins yet. Right now, Keisuke is feeling the pressure. He's at the point called denial. This is when you start blaming everything but your driving skills. Starting to suspect that his car is suffering from some kind of damage or malfunction. His RX-7 FD feels extremely slow today. He's claiming that one of the twin turbos isn't working, leading to a reduction in horsepower. I think he's coping. It's not bad timing, it's just a skill issue. But the anticipation is building. There's a sense in the air that an overtake is about to happen. It's just a matter of when and where. Takumi is riding right on Keisuke's bumper. It's almost inevitable that a move will be made. Ryosuke is asking for the play-by-play in the 5 consecutive hairpins. It's going to be a critical juncture, and he wants to know every single thing that happens. Here we go. It's a steep downhill into the first hairpin. It's a heavy braking zone, and it's a perfect opportunity to start setting up your move. The 5 hairpins are back-to-back, alternating. So the inside line becomes the outside line. It's the perfect overtaking opportunity, but how will he set up the move, and in which hairpin will he attack? The second hairpin, no gap exists, bumper to bumper, perfect corrections on the exit. Keisuke is definitely feeling the pressure. Takumi cold as ice. Keisuke makes a fatal mistake by moving over to the left to take a wide line through the hairpin, but Takumi doesn't let off. He floors it into the hairpin, and it's like his brakes are out, or he's got a death wish. He has no fear of going into the ravine, which everyone thinks is going to happen here. Top of the mountain is extremely anxious, waiting for the move to happen. It's insane, but Takumi takes the inside line. We hear a loud thud, and somehow, Takumi's not even drifting through this corner. He has an insane amount of grip, a physically impossible level of grip. How did he pull off this move? What was the secret technique? He's past Keisuke, and I don't think he's going to be able to recover. Going into the last corner at the finish line, we see the headlight of the Panda Trueno, the 8.6 with Keisuke not far behind. Yeah, there's a straightaway, but it's way too much ground for him to cover, and the 8-6 takes the win, officially making the record 2-0. Takumi is undefeated against Keisuke on the downhill. 350 horsepowers could not beat a damn 8-6. Wow. Those at the top are all excited. Ryosuke is contemplating how did this even happen and reflecting on the mistakes that were made today. Keisuke parks up on the side of the road, takes a one last look at the 8-6 as Takumi just drives on home. He literally did not even stop to wave goodbye to anyone. He just went home to go get some sleep and go get his full tank of gas. Honestly, what a casual victory for him. Ryosuke is pissed. He's heading down the mountain to go debrief with his brother, and he vows that he will take the revenge himself. The uphill run is canceled. None of it matters anymore. We have to defeat this damn 8-6. Takumi pulls up back at the tofu shop, calling it a night. He's honestly looking really chill. If you think about it, he only got out of the car for about 5 minutes and then just went straight home. He's like, yo, what's up, Pops? No, actually, he doesn't actually say anything at all. Pretty chilling, just standing there, aura farming, and then he just goes upstairs and then he's like, yo, Pops, actually, I forgot to tell you, but I won. Don't forget that full tank of gas. You promise. And he just dips out and goes to bed. Meanwhile, the Takahashi brothers are debriefing on the course and are looking exactly where the overtake occurred. They're trying to understand how the 8-6 had an insane amount of grip. Turns out he actually dipped his 2 inner tires into the gutter to cancel out that centrifugal force, aptly named the gutter run. This was Takumi's secret weapon that evidently gave him the win. Keisuke is just crashing out right here because he feels like he was cheated out of a victory, but Ryosuke tells him that's what racing's all about. Takumi simply leveraged his course knowledge to take a win. And Ryosuke says, look on the bright side. We haven't been this excited about an opponent in a very, very long time, making it clear that he's looking for revenge. In contrast, the next day, Takumi really just got what he wanted. He got to go on a date with Natsuki, got a free tank of gas, and he's just living up life, not concerned about what occurred yesterday or potential other future races. Whatever gets you started into racing, I guess that's cool, but it's just so crazy that Natsuki ended up being a major reason for why Takumi, if the date never was planned, this race probably would have never occurred. Appreciate this full circle moment. Battles do not end there. This is simply Takumi's start to his career. Even though it was a weird motivation to get going, and his skills are trained up from delivering tofu, there's going to be many more opponents to conquer, such as in the next episode, we have a battle against a GTR, a new opponent, a new challenger to see the 8-6 can defeat. But if you can't wait till then, join the Discord in the description box below to come race on my Assetto Corsa server where we do toge racing like an Initial D, and to join a community of car enthusiasts. See you all there. I try to race at least once a week. Bye.